woke up and I was tethered with all of the tubes and everything like that. And I opened my eyes and I said to myself, I'm alive. It was, yeah, I'm alive. It was amazing.
Since Frank's transplant, we always celebrated his rebirth day. Rebirth day became a very important part of our year. I think what we try to do is find ways to make it meaningful. We find ways to celebrate. So it seemed obvious to me that the way one celebrates a 13th rebirth day is by a bar mitzvah.
The hope with my rebar is that people who are there will think about something that perhaps they haven't given much thought to before. The correlative point is that there's a mistaken belief by some Jews that one should not be a donor or must not be a donor because in order for the soul to go to heaven, the body must be whole. And in fact, it contradicts what we are taught to be the greatest commandment, the greatest mitzvah, and that is to save a life.
Shortly after I came to Trilium, one of the first things I did was to arrange visits to a number of hospitals across the province to talk to them about organ donation, organ and tissue donation. But in the course of the discussion, the social worker said to me, you know, a lot of the people we serve are Jewish, and it's very common for us to hear from families that because they're Jewish, they can't allow their loved one to be a donor. So to hear that our community did not support donation was very disturbing for me. And to be honest, it remains disturbing.
I don't know where that hesitation comes from amongst Jews. I can't say.
I think the resistance to organ donation is very natural and understandable. And I think people need to have it explained why they should embrace this and not be fearful of it.
We learn from our parents, we learn from the people who teach us our traditions. And I remember growing up being told that as a Jew, our tradition was to bury the body whole.
Hearing, for example, when a person dies and then donates an organ after death, they're going to go to heaven and they're never going to get that organ back. And they're going to be going around without it. And it's preposterous, but you have people who are actually saying this. I'm talking about rabbis who are respected. And if you're telling me that a person performing the ultimate mitzvah is going to be penalized, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, aren't we supposed to be buried all in one piece? People have these almost superstitious concerns about their death and their burials that you have to dissolve to a degree and educate.
We consider organ and tissue donation to be not just merely acceptable, but desirable. Not just merely something that's okay to do, but something that's imperative to do. It's the highest form of mitzvah that you can really realize, which is to save someone else's life.
When I came to Trilium 6 years ago, there were 1,900 people on the waiting list, and I looked this morning, it's actually under 1,500. So we've made some progress in the last 5 or 6 years, but we could do a lot more.
I always call transplantation the best kept secret. It
It is highly successful. The results of liver transplantation at 1 year are over 95% survival, and even at 10 years, they're over 80% survival. What limits transplantation is organ scarcity. And so, unfortunately, many people who need transplant can't get it because an organ just doesn't become available.
I mean, when you do know somebody on the waiting list and they don't make it, it's a very empty feeling. And it's empty because you know that person's life could have been saved, and it's very frustrating. It's enormously frustrating.
It's not frustration, it's disappointment. It's disappointment in ourselves as a species and as a community. Canadians are giving people. I believe the spirit is there to do it. I think it's a lack of education, it's a lack of resolve, and it's a failure. It's a systems problem. And I think if we can get out to the community and teach people what we are about, I'm optimistic that we'll overcome this.
When I heard that Frank wanted to do a bar mitzvah for his liver, I was just thrilled. What a great way to link the Jewish tradition with this important cause. I was thrilled. I got goosebumps.
I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to use sort of the spirit with which the tradition has developed this ritual, but to bring it to the sort of commemorate another stage in an individual's life that is so significant, of 13 years of life, of a gift of life, otherwise would not have been possible. And it's coming up.
So this is a photograph of everyone who was at my first bar mitzvah. It took place in 1959, and it took place in Israel. It was held in a left-wing Zionist kibbutz. There is no Torah there. My father took the photograph. This is me here.
I think my dad's life is remarkably novelistic. I think it's almost as though someone had written it. The movement from tragedy or difficulty or hardship to, joy and rebirth and redemption.
My father, and I'm an only child, and he was the only survivor of a very large family in the Holocaust. My father died of liver disease very suddenly in 1969 when I had just turned 23. And so there's this tragic irony in our lives that he didn't survive and that I did.
My mom has always said that you have to celebrate milestones. And so, we have normal milestones, births of children and weddings and birthdays and anniversaries. So now we're making our very own new kind of milestone, and I think it's fantastic. It's a wonderful thing to celebrate.
At a deeper level, we want this to be a lesson of what good can come of things if people try harder and try to act in their better selves and open themselves to these possibilities, that saving a life and saving a family, because you didn't just save Frank's life by this, you saved all of our lives.
The fact that we can be together as a family, he can be there for those moments. I mean, they build memories, and that my children will have memories of my father and be able to interact with him in a meaningful way enriches all of our lives. It's irreplaceable. It's irreplaceable.
I'm becoming a mother. What more do you need to say? It's not just that he survived, but that he's a Zeta, that he's still our dad, and that we can all be here together.
A bar mitzvah is never just about the family. A bar mitzvah is about the community. And I want people to come and feel joyous and happy and celebrate with us.
In reciting the Kaddish, we affirm our awareness of holiness in our world. Much of our experience of divine goodness, grace, and love has come to us through those whose lives have touched our own. I would like to think of all the heroes who have made a very courageous choice and made it possible for new life to take place. It's selfless and it's beautiful. For thanks to them, Frank is here and hundreds of others can walk the streets.